are you feeling? Comfortable?
Almost thought I left my notes behind.
Oh, goodness me. Really? Okay. Cadet is from the Cranbourne Corps, or as we call it these days, Craigieburn, I beg your pardon, or as we call it these days, 3064, something like that, 3064. Where I work is 9195. Where I live is number 8. And I'm 59. And he's 58. I think. Aileen's 57. I'm under pressure here. Well, we're really interested to hear what you've got to say, because the call of God is special to some people. We are a people who believe in the priesthood of all believers. We are all called by God to the purpose of bringing people into a living faith with the living Lord Jesus Christ. That's our job. That's our responsibility. We are all called for that purpose, to be witnesses for the living God. But some God calls to leave all, as he did with the disciples, and follow him for a particular purpose. And so we want you to tell us a little bit about your call. God bless you.
Good evening.
Hi.
I have to apologise, I have to speak in English, I can't speak German. So hopefully you'll understand. It is a real privilege tonight to be able to speak on behalf of the 2011 session, the Proclaimers of the Resurrection. And as I think about all God is doing, I can't help but get excited about the things that he does in the lives of people. Our session is made up of 19 individuals from all over the Southern Territory. And to quote a line from a very famous song, some have walked 500 miles and some have walked 500 more. It's a bit of a running joke in the session. We got a bit nervous when Phil wrote that song because it sounded a bit like 500 miles. We've each travelled a different spiritual journey. We've experienced God in many different ways. And each one of us has served in our communities and in our local churches in varying capacities. Some are students. Some have worked in ministry. Some are serving in appointments as cadets. Others have worked as nurses, and some have even worked as bus drivers. In saying all this, however, there are a couple of things that we each have in common. Firstly, we love Jesus passionately. And we have a strong desire to serve him and to serve others. And secondly, each of us has responded to the call that God has placed on our lives, and that is to enter into full-time ministry as officers of the Salvation Army. Our life experiences, our talents and our abilities are all so very different. But God has brought each of us right here to this place for such a time as this. For me, the very fact that I'm standing right here before you now is a miracle in itself. The past 20 years have been a spiritual journey that has taken me well out of my comfort zone. It's taken me to countries all around the world, and it's been a painful experience as I questioned who I am, who God is, and the purpose that he has for my life. My life before Jesus was a lonely one. I looked for acceptance in all the wrong places, and I got involved with all the wrong sort of people. I was pretty much on a road to destruction. All of my life I'd been told by the people around me in school that I was no good, that I was worthless, that I could never amount to anything. My self-confidence was at rock bottom. And then about 11 years ago, I found Jesus. He was different. He told me that it didn't matter if I made mistakes. And he showed me a love that I could never find anywhere else. And over the past 10 years, he's been shaping me and moulding me, teaching me and using me in ways I could never have imagined. And I knew that there was more for me. And deep down, I knew that he was calling me to full-time ministry. That's where he wanted me to be. But then I developed what I like to call a Jonah complex. You see, like Jonah, God had called me. And also, like Jonah, I had chosen to run away from that calling. You see, I reverted back to what I knew. I felt that I was no good. I felt that there was no way God could ever use me. See, I wasn't smart enough. I didn't have the skills that he needed. How could God ever use me? But then he reminded me that he didn't need ability. He only needed availability. And so eventually, after running away from God, he laid it on the line and I had to make a decision. I was either going to let God do what he needed to do in me, or I was going to spend the rest of my life running away from him. And as I'm now here, it's obvious to see that God won. And so after making the decision that what he was calling me to do was the right one, the most amazing peace came over me. That peace that surpasses all understanding. And I'd known I'd made the right decision. And in all the years God has been trying to get my attention, I have learned a very valuable lesson, and it is this. Now Sandy, you'll know this one. Never, ever say never to God. Because God has a great sense of humour. And for me, it often involves me eating my own words. And so when I was saying no to God, he actually knew eventually I would have to say yes. And so that brings me to now. It is by no accident that each one of us are here tonight. And no accident that each one of us are entering college under the name Proclaimers of the Resurrection. The very name promotes excitement as we recall where we have been and where God is taking us. Each of us have been freed from that which was, so that God can take us to where he would have us be. The old is put to death, and Jesus has given us all life so that we might live our lives to the full, the way he intended us to live. The next 2 years will be tough, I'm sure, as God takes us well out of our comfort zones again and challenges us. And I know I speak on behalf of my session mates when I say that each of us, we cannot wait to see what God will do next. And I know that each of us